still coming in August on Patreon. People still think Nintendo owes them updates for Animal Crossing. McDonald's gets sued for being too tempting. And I answer questions and Patreon goes postal. Support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. I should hate the Olympics. It combines my two least favorite things, sports and undeserved patriotism. Everyone yelling, "We won!" as someone who worked their ass off for 4 years wins a gold medal, while you sat there and watched while shoveling chips in your black hole of a gob. But every 2 years I watch them. I think because there's just so many ridiculous things going on, and some of the sports are just so absurd. Now that wall climbing is in and breakdancing debuts in 2024, we're like 8 years away at most from slippery stairs being an Olympic event. So, I'm going to recap some of the funniest, and yes, more serious moments from the 2021 Olympics. Let's just get the big one out of the way. You know I hate to say I told you so, except, oh that's right, I love to say I told you so. But women's sports were not completely destroyed by the inclusion of a trans athlete at the Olympics. Laurel Hubbard, who, before the Olympics, I got comments on my trans women in sports video like this. She was an Olympic-level powerlifter, injured their back, and stopped competing as a male. They transitioned and started lifting again. So, now well past her prime, i.e. over 40, she is set to dominate her field. Except, none of that is true. Laurel was not an Olympic-level powerlifter as a man. She quit lifting in 2001, transitioned in 2012, and competed for the first time in international competition in 2017. And at the Olympics, she came dead last. She was the only competitor not to achieve even a single lift in the first round. 3 women attempted the same weight or more and completed it, and the event was won by Li Wenwen, the actual favorite set to dominate the field, as she, not Laurel, is the world record holder in her weight class. Now, in my previous video, the part everyone ignored where I said more research needs to be done, I still believe that. I still think they need to make sure sports are fair. I still think science should determine that, and not angry Twitter users going, "But look at their hands!" And it would be very fair to say this one example isn't enough to determine anything. But everyone going, "If you let trans athletes compete, it won't be fair, they'll just win every event." Take a deep breath. All the women's sports you don't watch and didn't care about until you read 3 articles on the internet are still safe, at least for now. You want to know who is dominating women's sports, though? Children! At least when it came to skateboarding. 13-year-old Sky Brown and 12-year-old Kokona Hiraki won bronze and silver medals in the women's skate park event, reminding us all that you may just not be pressuring your own children enough. Man, what's your 12-year-old child doing right now? Picking their nose and playing a Pokemon game on their Switch? Lazy goddamn children, not even winning a medal for their country, only to likely grow up incredibly maladjusted due to the pressure and fame thrust upon them at such a young age, turn 20, and realize that their best days are behind them? Come on, are you even parenting properly or what? And of course, we can't talk about pressure without talking about Simone Biles. Biles withdrew from most of her Olympic events, citing mental health reasons, which of course many people who've never competed in a sport in their lives had a lot to say about. Sports radio host Ben Mahler called Biles the biggest quitter in sports, and Texas Deputy Attorney General Aaron Reitz called her a national embarrassment. Remember kids, mental health problems aren't real. Unless of course someone's stopping you from going to the gym or traveling during a pandemic, then it's a huge problem and we need to deal with it right away. But you know who came to her defense? Sean Hannity. Regarding both Biles and Naomi Osaka's recent step back from high-level events, he said, "Can we just be a little more respectful?" And some people seem pretty heartless in their comments. Imagine Sean Hannity, who once said that waterboarding isn't torture and claimed he'd do it for charity, but then of course didn't, calling you heartless? It would be like if a turd became sentient and said, "Dude, you smell like shit." That's when you know it's time to take a shower. A lot of people quit during these Olympics. Many due to the weather. It was fucking hot in Japan. Temperatures were often over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 32 degrees Celsius, with humidity over 80% some days. Who could have expected this? Well, how about Tokyo in 1964? That year, they held the Summer Olympics in October because they knew it was too hot in July and August, and September is monsoon season, just pisses down rain all month. And so, 30 of the 106 runners in the marathon, over a quarter of the participants, did not finish the race. This isn't your fucking hometown 10K fun run that Sue in Accounting participates in every year for a free t-shirt and walks after jogging 2K. These are Olympic athletes. They've all run in more marathons than you've run for buses. They got enough of those stupid oval stickers to cover an entire Honda Fit. So the fact that they couldn't finish just shows that maybe it was a bad time of year to make human beings compete at the highest level of athletic competition. And it wasn't just humans. You know who else quit? A horse. This is my second favorite story of the Olympics. I'm saving my favorite for the end, but during the pentathlon, which might be the dumbest event, consisting of swimming, fencing, equestrian show jumping, and a combined event of pistol shooting and a 2-mile run, the woman who was in first place up to that point was assigned a horse for the show jumping part, and the horse just wouldn't jump. There's a great picture of this lady crying while the horse just has this big shit-eating grin on its face like, fuck you, lady, jump the hurdles yourself. Oh, and by the way, all the horse events should go. They're the dumbest shit ever. Sorry to all the horse girls in my audience, but either they need to eliminate the events or give the medals to the horse. They're the ones doing all the work. At the Kentucky Derby, the horse wins the race, not the rider. I won't recognize equestrian as a real sport until they're putting a medal over a horse's giant-ass head while the announcer goes, and the gold medal goes to the athlete from Great Britain, Buckingham Alice. And now, on to the only sports that matter in the Olympics. The ones where people get the shit kicked out of them. For those of you tuning into the boxing who may be newer fans to the sport, you may have been very confused. No one walked to the ring with a robot. No one wore a Pokemon card around their neck, and the announcer didn't even mention the fighters' social media statistics. Also, none of the fighters had a 40-pound weight advantage. This can't be boxing, can it? Well, don't worry. One Irish fighter managed to do the type of shit you'd expect on a modern celebutante boxing show. After winning his quarterfinal fight, Aidan Walsh jumped up and down in celebration and sprained his ankle, knocking himself out of the rest of the tournament. Trained for 5 years for this moment, acts like a moron, ends his chances of winning a medal. There's still hope though. Maybe he can turn pro and get a fight with the dipshit that said, "England is my city," on the undercard of the next Jake Paul freak show. And hey, here's a message for the kids. Never give up hope, even when you're completely unconscious. During the Olympic karate event, Saudi Arabia's Tariq Hamadi knocked out Iranian fighter Sajjad Ghanzadi with a spectacular head kick in the final. What an ending for TV, right? Well, in karate, it turns out you're not allowed to knock people out. You have to pull your punches and kicks. And so, Hamadi was disqualified, and Ghanzadi found out he won the gold medal after he regained consciousness in the dressing room. What a way to find out you're a winner. Waking up with a massive headache and the taste of blood in your mouth, being told, "Hey, you know how you just got your ass handed to you? Well, turns out that was against the rules. You win!" I was kind of hoping they were going to weekend at Bernie's him up onto the fucking podium, but he did regain consciousness to collect his medal. But perhaps this is inspiration for the bullied everywhere, that maybe someday you'll be rewarded for getting your ass kicked. And finally, the only good part of the Olympics for all the athletes who don't get to win medals is 11,000 hard-bodied, prime-of-their-life, fit young athletes all convening in one place for a 2-week fuckfest. Of course, this all happening during a pandemic meant the organizers were like, no touching each other and whatnot, please. But also, here's 150,000 free condoms. The Olympic Village beds were also made of cardboard, which were apparently fairly sturdy, but I imagine would still kind of simulate the feeling of 2 homeless people banging on a refrigerator box in a back alley. I know, sexy, right? But the organizers said the condoms are meant to be taken home. In fact, 2 condom manufacturers were trying to use the games to show off their 0.02 and 0.01 millimeter ultra-thin condoms. Apparently, the only ones this thin anywhere. We think the Olympics are a good opportunity to show this Japanese quality all over the world, said Hiroshi Yamashita, senior sales manager of Sagami Condoms, showing us that even Japan gets the true spirit of these games. It's not about who can run the fastest, jump the highest, or make a horse dance the best. It's about selling soft drinks, phones, cars, beer, and yes, even ultra-thin condoms to everyone at home watching, who will never know what it's like to win for the glory of their country or have incredible, life-changing, mind-blowing, cardboard bed-breaking athletic sex.